A new season in Spain. La Primera, Ali Moreno. Will it be Real Madrid again with another title? Or will Barcelona get better than they were last season and turn it around? Or will it be a repeat of a couple of years ago when Atletico Madrid surprised everyone? Or will it be something else? What do you see this season in La Liga?
Well, we don't know quite yet what the final version of Barcelona is going to be. And if you believe news and reports coming out of Barcelona, somehow they've been able to figure out their financial situation to the point to where they can continue to sign players. I have no idea how that works. I'm not quite sure that the math actually does add up, but somehow they seem to continue to go after players. If in the end they're able to get the targets that they're going after, then we're having a different conversation. But where we stand right now, you have to imagine that Barcelona will get better, however, not good enough quite yet to catch Real Madrid. Real Madrid, as good as they were last season, I can argue that they've actually improved upon their team. The signing of Rudiger is an important one. Tchouaméni gives some depth through the midfield. The only concern that I have with Real Madrid is having a second option to Karim Benzema. If he's injured, if you're trying to manage his minutes, who is the player that can step in and do the job? I don't think that player is with Real Madrid right now. So if I were Real Madrid, I would be looking for a second option to Benzema, a credible option, goal-scoring option coming off the bench. Other than that, I'm all Real Madrid all the time. I think that right now they're far superior to everybody else in La Liga, unless, of course, Barcelona is able to complete the signings of the players that they're talking about.
Therefore, is it the case that it's going to be Barcelona, Atleti, Sevilla, and the rest will have to get better to stop Real Madrid getting their 36th La Liga title, because La Liga, the champions, Real Madrid, are not going to be coming back to the pack?
Well, I don't think, and I don't anticipate that they will. I think Real Madrid were able to find consistency last season, whereas the others struggle for that consistency. Barcelona early on was having difficulties figuring out who they were, and the transition post-Messi to Koeman to Xavi, and then it was too little, too late in the end. And as for Atletico Madrid, they had difficulties throughout the course of the season, not only the beginning of the season, but even towards the end of the season, in understanding how to beat teams that they should be better than. We're talking about teams in relegation zone, and Atletico Madrid is struggling to get results against that sort of group. And if you're unable to get results against those guys, then it's difficult to generate the consistency that they needed in order to be able to have a realistic fight with Real Madrid. As for Sevilla, they were the closest to Real Madrid for the longest time throughout the course of the season, and they had a real opportunity to put some pressure on Real Madrid in moments where Real Madrid perhaps seemed like they were faltering, and Sevilla could not and would not be able to really find the results that they needed when they needed them. I don't think that they truly believe they were contenders. And if you don't believe within that locker room that you're going to challenge Real Madrid, then there is no chance for you in the end.
You make a good point about Karim Benzema. And he was the talisman last season. He led them with his goals to the title, to the Champions League. And he stayed fit for the majority of the season. So if he does go down with injury, and we hope he doesn't, if Real Madrid is looking for a backup to him, or someone that can maybe come in and give him a rest, and you are a top player in Europe, because that's what they would be looking for, but you know you're not going to be playing potentially every week, how less of an attraction is that when you're not playing kind of guaranteed every week, and you might have to be second fiddle?
Yeah, it's a complex situation, and that's why you have people around the world and scouts around the world that are trying to figure out, okay, what is the profile of the player that we need that can do this job and would be happy, quote unquote, to be in this position. And I think we've all documented quite well the fact that if you're going to be a striker, if you're going to be the guy who wants to score goals, usually ego is a bit of a concern because you want to be that guy. You want to be in the spotlight. When you play with Karim Benzema in front of you, you're not going to be in the spotlight. So it's not an easy profile of a player to find. However, I do think it's necessary. And let's not forget, and I think this is an important point, this is a unique season that we're heading into with a World Cup right in the middle of the season. How does that affect a player like Karim Benzema? How does that affect the players in general? And what does it mean? And let's just, for sake of argument, France goes on a long run in the World Cup. They end up winning the whole thing. Again, this is just hypothetical. There is a physical toll that the tournament will take, and there's also going to be a mental toll that the tournament is going to take on the players. So if you're a guy like Karim Benzema and you go on a long run with France, what does that mean for you physically? What does that mean for you mentally? And once you come back from the World Cup, you go from the high of a World Cup, how does that play into your level of performance, your level of focus, or your level of excitement to be back at Real Madrid? You just came off potentially having won a World Cup or having had a long run in the World Cup. I think it's going to have an effect on players across Europe, and certainly Karim Benzema and Real Madrid will not be the exception.
Dembele's back. Rafinha's about to join. Lewandowski's been linked. Aubameyang's already there, plus the guys that were also there last season. What's your front three if everyone's fit for Barca?
Well, you just mentioned a whole bunch of players that, as I stated earlier, I have no idea how you get access to all of these names, given the backdrop of the financial struggles of Barcelona and the instability financially that has been reported time and time again. Again, I'm going to turn a blind eye to it. I'm going to say, okay, somehow this is working. Somehow the accounting makes sense. And we have Lewandowski available. And now he is part of Barcelona. Well, he's going to have to play. If you have resigned Dembele, it's because you think Xavi can get the very best from him, which we saw late last season. So he's going to have to play. And then after that, it gets tricky because you bring in Rafinha, which is a similar profile of player to Dembele, and he likes to play from the right-hand side, cutting to his left foot. But that's where Dembele is going to play. Does that mean that then Rafinha goes out to the left? Okay, wait a second. I thought we had the answer there with Ferran Torres. Wasn't he the guy that likes to come off the line on the left-hand side and combine to the inside and be sort of a second striker? In this case, whether it's behind Lewandowski, whether it's behind Aubameyang. So these are all major decisions. For me, if I were Xavi, and I have all these toys available, and again, all of this is very ifs and buts when it comes to Barcelona. I'm playing Lewandowski, of course. I'm playing Dembele at the beginning, and I have a very, very critical and keen eye on him, thinking, okay, let me see if I can get true, consistent performance from this guy. And if I do, I keep him out there. And then I start Ferran Torres down the left-hand side for a variety. I don't want both Rafinha and Dembele on the field at the same time because, again, it's similar profile player. I'm looking for variety, so I'll have Dembele ahead of Rafinha, and I'll play Ferran Torres down the left-hand side, and he has the freedom to tuck inside and be a second striker. Then behind that, Pedri, Gavi, Busquets, and then behind them, whatever Xavi wants to figure out. But that would be my attacking core.
We've got plenty of goals in there. Can they keep them out of the other end? And as you say, can they stop those daft results where they drop points against teams they should be beating? Okay, we've spoken Real Madrid, we've spoken Barcelona. You and I think still had the privilege last season, they were defending champions, to commentate on Atletico Madrid on many occasions. And there were times we thought, yeah, that's the real Atleti. That's the Atleti we remember under Diego Simeone. There were other times we're like, what is this? So what kind of Atleti do you think we'll get this season?
Well, I think the comment that you just made there about, yeah, that's the Atleti we remember, usually came after halftime when they were losing 2-0 or when they were trailing in a game. And then you see a team that has a different type of mindset, character, attitude, fight, all the things that you expect from a Diego Simeone team. But they had a tendency last season of being very underwhelming, lackluster. They did not have any sort of creative ideas in the attack. They became very predictable. And then they go into halftime and they make changes because they're desperate, because they've gone down, because they're not defending nearly as well, because Oblak is not the same goalkeeper he once was, because defending they're not as solid as they once were. And now all of a sudden you see a different type of team. I don't know what to tell you about Atletico Madrid.
Mm.
And to be honest, there were times last season where I don't think Diego Simeone really truly knew what he had in that locker room and what he could trust. And that's why you saw so much rotation and changes and lack of consistency and different starting 11s. I think Atletico Madrid is still trying to figure out who they are. And Diego Simeone, towards the end of the season, I think found a rotation that he liked and he was comfortable with to finish the season. But can they maintain the momentum to begin this year? That's a different question altogether. To me, I just think that they have to be very clear and resolute as to who they are. Once they figure that out, then believe in that. If that means that we're going to go back to being the defensive team that we once were, okay, that's going to be you. You do you. But if you're going to allow the attacking players to have the freedom to express themselves in the attacking half, then do that. Don't be an in-between team. And that's what I found with Atletico Madrid last season. They were in between. They were neither here nor there, and they found themselves with difficulties getting the results that they wanted.
Because we saw their success in recent years was when they were them, when they had a 1-0 lead, and that was the end scoreline. That was it. They shut up shop. They knew what to do. But then you've got Joao Felix, you've got Griezmann, who's struggling to score. Last season, Luis Suarez, he's past his best, so he's moved on as well. It's going to be interesting to see what Diego Simeone does, because back in December 2010, Ali, he replaced Gregorio Manzano, and no one really knew what to expect. He'd been in Italy, and he'd been okay in Italy. But since he's taken over at Atleti, and he's gone into his 13th season, full season would be season number 12 for Diego Simeone. How many times can this be a reincarnation? How many times can you change things around and still expect to have the same success? Are we seeing the dying embers of Diego Simeone's managerial tenure in Spain, or is there still that passion burning that he can keep going for a while yet?
It feels like we've had this conversation a few times over the last few seasons, and the truth is Diego Simeone will stay at Atletico Madrid until Diego Simeone wants to leave. He has built so much equity within this club that the identity of the club and the identity of the team is Diego Simeone. He has become the symbol of Atletico Madrid. And whether you like them, love them, hate them, dislike them, whatever your feelings are about Atletico Madrid, those are usually the same feelings that you have about Diego Simeone. He is Atletico Madrid. And for me, Atletico Madrid wouldn't be in the positions that they have been over the last few seasons, with chances to win Champions League, with chances to win La Liga, actually winning trophies, if he hadn't taken his job to the level that he has done. I find him to be an intriguing character in the game, a necessary character in the game that knows who he is not apologetic about what he is and what his team is, and is focused on one thing and one thing only, and that is winning for Atletico Madrid. However that comes and however that is, it's not really what's important to him. For him, the final result is what matters, and that is winning for Atletico Madrid. If you're an Atletico Madrid fan, that's what you appreciate. That's what you like. You know he bleeds Atletico Madrid, and I don't think he is going to be pushed out the door. He will have to walk out the door himself, and I don't think that's coming anytime soon.
Let's talk Sevilla, Ali, because for a long spell we thought, okay, this is the title challengers. They're the main ones for Real Madrid. They have a decent spine, or they had a decent spine last season, the two centre-backs of Jules Koundé and Diego Carlos. But Carlos is now gone. Koundé is probably going to go as well. They've still got Rakitic. They've got creativity in the middle of the park. They've got goals in the side. So what's missing for a championship campaign that can maybe rival Real Madrid and potentially Barcelona?
I think it was a sense of self-belief last season. And I think that was the chance. That was the moment in which you had something in front of you to, at the very least, push Real Madrid. There were moments in the middle of the season, right around January, February, where Real Madrid were struggling to get wins. They were having some difficulties finding those results that were so easily attainable early on in the season. And in that moment where Sevilla was right there, just over the shoulder of Real Madrid, with an opportunity to get those results, to truly become a contender, to truly become a threat to Real Madrid, Sevilla did not get those results. They came up short. And part of it, I think, in my estimation, is their unwillingness to admit that, yes, we are contenders. Yes, we are the only threat to this title for Real Madrid. And that unwillingness to shoulder that responsibility, I think in the end, in some ways limited the ability of Sevilla to be that threat and to truly push Real Madrid. If you don't believe it yourself, then quite frankly, Real Madrid would not have believed that you were a threat either. When they looked behind, they said, yeah, Sevilla's right there, but they're not the team that is really going to threaten us. We're not afraid of them. And Sevilla never really made that step to make Real Madrid think about Sevilla. So that was a chance. Now it becomes difficult because, as you just mentioned, players start going in different directions. And so, yes, Diego Carlos, he gone. Jules Koundé seems like he gone as well at some point, here, there, or somewhere. And so how do you then make up for those absences? And the answer is you really don't, not to that level. So Sevilla last year was a chance. This year is more about, can we finish top four?
And if the four teams that we've mentioned are the top four, in whichever order, who's going to be best of the rest, or who's got a chance of breaking into that top four? Valencia? Any others?
Villarreal would be the team that I would look at and say, a team that got off to a really, really slow start last season, came on in the end, made a run in Champions League. Talent-wise, they made investment on this team ahead of last season, and they thought, okay, well, this is a team that is really going to threaten and it's going to contend. That slow start really, really hampered the things that they could do on the field. The injuries to Gerard Moreno were also a big factor for Villarreal. But I think that Villarreal, if they get off to a good start, they'll be a threat to get into that top four, and perhaps they could be the ones that push Sevilla off.
A dramatic final day of the regular season in Segunda. Elche for so long were going up automatically and they blew it. So it's Almeria and Valladolid who've come up, and Girona through the playoffs. Out of those three, which team do you expect to have the best season and hopefully stay up?
Oh man, it's difficult because none of these teams really have enough in the attack to win games against the top half of LaLiga. So then it becomes the struggle of the bottom half and who can defend best out of those three teams. I look at Girona, and it's a team that has limited resources. Almeria, could they be the ones that make a run? I don't know that any of these three teams have a real opportunity to stay up, but what I do think they have going for them is the fact that there is some negative momentum from those that were barely hanging on last season, and they haven't really exactly addressed some of the concerns and their issues. So that bottom half, that bottom third of La Liga is going to be tight. And I think it's not only those three teams that will be fighting to stay up. A team like Cádiz that had a late push to stay in La Liga last season, do they have that late push in them again? And do they need to have that late push in them again? They still struggle to score goals. That's a team that I would be looking at in terms of heading in the wrong direction. But Almeria, Girona, they're going to have some difficult times as well. That the bottom six of La Liga is going to be really, really tight.
Finally, we mentioned Girona in the promotion playoffs. They came up. One of the teams that didn't was Las Palmas from the Canary Islands. There's a suggestion, Ali, that Cesc Fabregas could be on his way there. Some decent talent in Segunda, potentially joined by Cesc Fabregas. Is that a decent move for him as he approaches the end of his career?
I have a great golf course for Cesc Fabregas that he can come and join. And I would say, Cesc, Mr. Fabregas, please, Señor Fabregas, come on down. I have a unique setup in the country club. We can watch people tee off. We can watch people finish on the 18th hole. We'll have a couple of drinks together. And if we want to get out there, play 18, let's play 18. You want to just walk 9? Let's do 9. 36, let's go crazy. Why not? It is time to go. If indeed your best hope and your best option is to go to La Segunda and play for Las Palmas, maybe we start considering other possibilities and come on down and have some Shirley Temples with me at the country club. We'll have a couple of pina coladas. It'll be great for everybody.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.